Let's begin with an uncomfortable truth. Most people spend nearly 20 years inside classrooms preparing for adulthood, yet somehow arrive at adulthood completely unprepared for wealth. They learn algebra, geography, chemistry, and history. They learn how empires rose and fell. They learn how cells divide and how planets move through space. Yet almost nobody graduates understanding how money compounds, how assets are acquired, how ownership creates freedom, or why some people become financially independent, while others remain trapped in a cycle of earning and spending until retirement. Bill discovered this the hard way. Like millions of people, he followed every instruction given to him. Study hard, get good grades, find a secure job, work for 40 years. But one evening, sitting alone with a calculator and a growing sense of frustration, he realized something terrifying. The system had taught him how to survive. It had never taught him how to build wealth.
The strange thing about wealth is that it rarely hides. The clues are everywhere. Entire neighborhoods display the results. Businesses display the results. Investment portfolios display the results. Yet most people never learn the rules because they spend their lives studying outcomes instead of studying causes. They admire the mansion but never investigate the decades of decisions that built it. They envy the investor but never examine the habits that created the capital. They see the harvest and ignore the seeds. And that is exactly why two people can earn the same income for 20 years and end up living completely different lives. One becomes financially free. The other remains financially dependent. The difference is not effort. The difference is understanding. Imagine a second school hidden behind the first one. A school with no classrooms, no diplomas, and no graduation ceremony. A school attended by entrepreneurs, investors, builders, and self-made millionaires. The lessons taught, they're different. Nobody cares about memorization. Nobody rewards obedience. Nobody grades attendance. The only thing that matters is whether your decisions create value. Welcome to the Wealth Classroom. Today you are about to learn the 6 laws that determine almost every financial outcome on Earth. Before we begin with the first law, understand something important. These laws are not opinions. They operate whether you believe in them or not. Gravity does not require your agreement to function. Neither does wealth. A person can ignore these principles for decades and still feel their consequences. The market does not reward effort alone. It rewards leverage. It rewards ownership. It rewards patience. It rewards value creation. And the sooner Bill understood this, the sooner his financial life began changing direction. Most people spend their lives trying to earn more money. Wealthy people spend their lives trying to build systems that earn money. That single difference creates an enormous gap over time. One approach depends on constant labor. The other depends on intelligent construction. One is temporary. The other compounds. And it all begins with the first law. The first law of wealth is simple. Ownership beats labor. School teaches people to become valuable employees. Wealth teaches people to become valuable owners. Employees are paid once for their effort. Owners are paid repeatedly for assets they control. The difference appears small at first. Over decades, it becomes life-changing. Imagine 2 people planting trees. One plants trees in somebody else's garden for a wage. The other plants trees in his own garden. Both work equally hard. Both sweat equally. Both spend years caring for the trees. Yet only one owns the harvest. Wealth follows ownership because ownership captures future value long after effort ends. The wealthiest people on Earth do not primarily sell hours. They own assets, businesses, intellectual property, real estate, investments, systems. Their income is connected to ownership, not attendance. This realization transformed the way Bill looked at work forever. Every dollar spent can move in one of 2 directions. Toward consumption or toward ownership. One creates temporary pleasure. The other creates permanent potential. The wealthy understand this distinction with extraordinary clarity. The first major shift in Bill's life occurred when he stopped asking, "What can I buy?" and started asking, "What can I own?" That question quietly changed everything.
Bill soon noticed something most people never stop long enough to see. Every wealthy person he studied seemed to be collecting pieces of the future. They owned shares of companies they did not personally operate. They owned businesses that continued serving customers while they slept. They owned systems that generated value whether they were present or absent. Meanwhile, most workers were trapped in a fragile arrangement where income stopped the moment work stopped. Wealth, Bill realized, was not about having more money. It was about owning more sources of production. The wealthy were not chasing dollars. They were acquiring machines that produce dollars. The law of ownership can be summarized in a single sentence. If you spend your life building assets, assets will eventually support your life. If you spend your life consuming assets, you will spend your life supporting them. Bill wrote that sentence on a piece of paper and kept it on his desk. Years later, he would realize it was one of the most profitable lessons he had ever learned. The second law is the law that creates extraordinary results from ordinary effort. It is called leverage. Most people believe success comes from working harder than everyone else. Wealthy people understand that success often comes from multiplying effort rather than increasing it. A man with leverage can achieve in 1 year what another person may struggle to achieve in 20. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is amplification. Imagine trying to move a mountain one stone at a time. That is how most people approach wealth. They rely solely on personal effort. But leverage changes the equation. Technology is leverage. Capital is leverage. Teams are leverage. Media is leverage. Ownership is leverage. The wealthy spend their lives searching for ways to make 1 hour produce the results of 10. When Bill first heard the word leverage, he assumed it meant borrowing money. He later discovered that financial leverage was only one form. The greatest fortunes in history were often built through leverage of ideas. One book reaching millions. One software product serving billions. One invention changing an entire industry. Leverage allows value to travel further than the creator ever could. Think about the teacher who speaks to 30 students at once. The same hour creates 30 times the impact. Think about the author whose book reaches readers decades after it was written. Think about the entrepreneur whose product serves customers 24 hours a day. All of them are using leverage. Their effort continues working long after the original action ended. The poor often exchange time directly for money. The wealthy exchange systems for money. One scales slowly. The other scales endlessly. That is why some people work harder every year yet see little progress while others appear to accelerate exponentially. Leverage is the hidden engine beneath that acceleration. Bill began asking a new question before every major decision. Can this scale? It became one of the most important questions of his life. If the answer was no, he became cautious. If the answer was yes, he paid attention. Because scalable value creates scalable rewards. The law of leverage teaches that effort alone is rarely enough. To become wealthy, you must learn how to multiply your impact beyond your physical limitations. Your hands can only do so much. Your systems can do far more. If ownership is the foundation and leverage is the accelerator, compounding is the miracle. Compounding is the reason small actions can eventually produce enormous outcomes. It is the law that makes time the greatest ally of disciplined people and the greatest enemy of impatient people. Most people quit because results arrive slowly at first. They expect visible progress immediately. Wealth does not work that way. Compounding rewards consistency long before it rewards speed. For years, the results may appear insignificant. Then suddenly they become impossible to ignore. Every habit compounds. Every skill compounds. Every relationship compounds. Every investment compounds. The tragedy is that most people only notice compounding after it has already worked for or against them for many years. Imagine pushing a giant flywheel. The first pushes feel useless. The wheel barely moves. Yet each push adds momentum. Eventually, the wheel begins turning on its own. Wealth follows the same pattern. Momentum arrives after commitment, not before at point 8. The impatient person constantly changes direction. The disciplined person stays the course. Compounding favors commitment. Every restart resets progress. Every interruption delays growth. The wealthy understand that consistency is often more important than brilliance. Bill discovered that wealth rarely arrives dramatically. It arrives quietly through repeated actions. One investment. One skill. One habit. One improvement. Repeated again and again until the results become extraordinary. The law of compounding teaches a lesson school rarely emphasizes. Small actions repeated consistently can outperform massive actions performed occasionally. Time magnifies everything. The question is whether it is magnifying the right things. The fourth law is invisible but powerful. It is the law of attention. Wherever attention flows, resources follow. Money follows attention. Opportunities follow attention. Skills follow attention. The quality of your life often reflects the quality of your focus. Modern society profits from distraction. Entire industries compete for your attention every second of every day. The wealthy understand that attention is a valuable asset. They guard it carefully because they know scattered focus creates scattered results. Attention is like sunlight. Concentrated sunlight can start a fire. Scattered sunlight simply warms the ground. The same principle applies to effort. Concentrated attention creates breakthroughs. Bill realized he had been spending years reacting instead of creating. Reacting to news. Reacting to opinions. Reacting to emergencies. Wealth required a different approach. It required intentional focus. Every successful person eventually learns the same lesson. You cannot build a meaningful future while constantly surrendering your attention to things that do not matter. Attention is the gatekeeper of achievement. The wealthy often appear calm because they have learned what to ignore. They understand that not every opportunity deserves attention and not every problem deserves a reaction. The law of attention teaches that your future grows wherever your focus goes. If you direct your attention wisely, wealth often follows naturally. Bill eventually noticed something strange. The biggest opportunities never appeared on job boards or social media. They arrived quietly through trusted relationships. Someone recommended someone. A business owner remembered someone. An investor introduced someone. Wealth traveled through trust far more often than talent. That was when Bill realized your reputation becomes your invisible resume. Long before people examine your skills, they evaluate your reliability. Every promise you keep deposits into an account called trust. Every broken promise withdraws from it. Billionaires understand that money flows naturally toward people others believe they can depend on. Most people think trust is emotional. The wealthy know trust is financial. Every satisfied client returns. Every honest deal creates referrals. Every fulfilled promise removes friction from future opportunities. Over decades, reputation compounds exactly like investments. Bill learned that one honest decision today could produce income 10 years from now from people he hadn't even met yet. Reputation quietly multiplies opportunities that advertising can never buy. This was perhaps the hardest lesson of all. Society rewards immediate gratification. Billionaires reward delayed gratification. Bill realized almost every meaningful achievement required years of invisible preparation before becoming visible success. While everyone else chased instant results, he began asking a different question. Will this decision still benefit me 10 years from now? That single question eliminated thousands of distractions. There is a species of bamboo that spends years growing underground before breaking through the surface. To outsiders, nothing appears to happen. Then suddenly it shoots upward faster than almost any plant on Earth. Billionaires build lives exactly like bamboo. Their greatest years are supported by foundations nobody applauded while they were building them. Bill finally understood that invisible progress is still progress. Months turned into years. Bill wasn't richer overnight, but he was wiser every single day. His spending had changed. His habits had changed. His friends had changed. His priorities had changed. Most importantly, his identity had changed. Wealth no longer felt like something he chased. It had become something he was slowly becoming worthy of receiving. Bill looked back and realized none of the 6 laws worked alone. Every law strengthened another. Vision created focus. Skills increased income. Ownership multiplied effort. Discipline protected wealth. Reputation attracted opportunities. Long-term thinking allowed everything else to compound. Like gears inside an expensive watch, removing one weakened the entire machine. The tragedy isn't ignorance. Most people have heard pieces of these principles before. The tragedy is inconsistency. They save for 1 month, then quit. They read for 1 week, then stop. They invest once, panic, and sell. They begin disciplined lives only until comfort calls them back. Wealth doesn't reward intensity. It rewards consistency. Bill finally stopped trying to impress people with short bursts of motivation and started impressing himself with years of discipline. The biggest difference between billionaires and everyone else isn't intelligence. It is time perspective. Ordinary people think about this weekend. Successful people think about next year. Billionaires think about generations. Every decision Bill now made considered future consequences. Instead of asking, "How much will this cost me?" he asked, "How much could this become if I keep it working for 20 years? Imagine someone handed you $1 million today. Would your habits keep it growing or slowly destroy it? Bill realized money only magnifies existing behavior. Wealth doesn't solve financial problems. It exposes them. Poor habits remain poor habits even inside bigger bank accounts. That is why character always comes before capital. For the next 30 days, choose one of these 6 laws and commit to practicing it every single day. Don't chase perfection. Chase repetition. Tiny improvements repeated consistently become extraordinary results. Billionaires rarely transform overnight. They simply refuse to stop improving after everyone else quits. Capital. Picture 2 versions of yourself standing before you. One continues living exactly as they do today. 5 years pass, and nothing changes except age. The other embraces these 6 laws with relentless consistency. 5 years later, that version owns businesses, investments, options, and freedom. Both futures begin with today's decision. School taught you how to earn grades. Employers taught you how to earn salaries. But wealth requires something different entirely. It requires learning how money behaves when nobody is watching. The 6 laws you've learned today have quietly guided countless self-made billionaires across generations. They are timeless because human nature never changes. Bill's journey proves that ordinary people can produce extraordinary outcomes when ordinary excuses are removed. 100 people will watch this video today. Most will nod in agreement, feel inspired for a few minutes, then return to the same habits that kept them financially stuck. A small handful will choose differently. They will begin building skills instead of excuses, assets instead of liabilities, discipline instead of distractions, and patience instead of urgency. Years from now, the world will call them lucky. But you will know the truth. Luck had very little to do with it. Their wealth was built one disciplined decision at a time. If this video changed the way you think about money, subscribe to Broke to Built, because this is where ordinary minds are transformed into extraordinary builders, one lesson at a time.